Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to say thanks for coming on. And today we have a really special and really important topic. This is a topic that I think all of us have to deal with at some point. Even if you don't have, like, let's say a lot of people say, well, I don't even have a TV at home. I don't even have Wi-Fi. I think everybody has Wi-Fi. So we're all going to deal with it at some point, especially since our kids are getting older and a lot of things are online. And I think it's so important for us to really know and navigate the digital world. So today it's really special because I'm bringing Chris on. And just to tell you guys about Chris, he is the founder of Protect Young Eyes, and it's PI for short. And he helps create a safer digital world for our kids. That's his passion and his mission. He not only does presentations on different topics related to screen time and digital safety around the country in schools as well, but he was also featured in news, podcasts, radio, and he was also featured in the movie Childhood 2.0. I don't know if you guys have watched that, but it's amazing. I definitely highly recommend it. So as if that wasn't enough, he also created a Protect app. So an app that parents like me and you, we can just have and download and get the latest and greatest information on anything digital for our kids. Also, the resources that he has on his website, you guys, it's just amazing. So let me bring Chris on. Can't wait to get started. And we can talk for so long, and he's so easy to talk to. I can't wait for you guys to know him and ask different questions. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Shanila. Awesome to be with you. I got to tell you right off the bat, though, as a guy stuck in Michigan, when I see that green, lush, sunny background that
Yes.
you're in Southern California, I'm automatically jealous.
You know, I sat outside just for you.
Well, I
So at
just
least you can get some of that.
I appreciate that. So it's awesome to be with you.
Thank you for coming on. This is long overdue. I've been following you for so long, and I love your work. And I think it's so important, especially in this day and age where just parenting, just in general, it's already hard, right? Dealing with the tantrums, work-life balance, managing our own emotions, just everything. And on top of that, I have to help protect my kids online. Like, that's just, it's already overwhelming, and now there's just so much more. And I feel like a lot of parents feel like that. So let's just start there. Where do we start?
Right? Where do we start? It's difficult. You know, you're a mom, you have kids. I'm a dad. I have 4 kids of my own. Just for context, since maybe some of the people watching this now or even later are new to Protect Young Eyes. My children are ages 10, 11, 11, and 16. So I'm in that elementary, middle, and senior high. I've got all 3 of those sort of periods of life that I'm working in. I don't know all of the answers, right? I think there's sometimes this misnomer that because I founded an internet safety organization that I've got it perfect and my kids never stumble and I never have disagreements about what apps they should use, and all of that is totally untrue.
Yes.
Untrue. I'm bumbling and stumbling through this just like you are. But I do believe that there are some things that if we do them persistently and consistently, I think all of us, Shanila, regardless of our background, our technical expertise, our age, I think all of us have digital superpowers that we underestimate because we think that it's mostly about understanding the tech. And that's the part that is new to me as someone who was native to. That's the part that's new to you and many others. But we can dive into the relational side of this, which I know is so important to you too. As you and I have stayed connected, over the past year, and just the sense that I get, the intentionality that I observe in you with your children, that goes so far in building what you know is important to me at Protect Young Eyes, and that is this idea of digital trust.
Yeah.
And when we have that trust, that foundation built, then I think we can put so many other things on top of that. But if we try to solve relational problems with technical solutions, they're never going to quite do the job, right? There isn't a software we can download or a toggle that we can switch on that is going to replace our need to parent well, even in space that we don't maybe fully understand. So that's maybe the one thing I would start with, is to start with a word of encouragement. I think that everybody watching this now or later, you have much of what it already takes. And I think it's just sort of ignoring sometimes that little lying voice of fear and uncertainty, or you don't have Snapchat or you don't have TikTok, and so you must not be capable. And I'm like, no, you are. You can do this. So.
Yeah. You know, I was talking to my husband about this yesterday, and I was telling him that, you know, I'm going to be talking to Chris today about digital safety. What are some things that pops up in your mind? And my husband was like, you know what? I feel like we can't watch our kids 24/7. One, and then he felt like, you know, it's so hard to compete with screen time.
Definitely.
And we were just thinking about that, and we're like, well, what can we do then? Yeah. You know, the games are so tempting. And the thing is that instead of like eliminating something, we have, like you said, superpower to navigate and know what we can do. Like, for example, I think I asked you once about, you know, my kids want to play Minecraft. What are some pros and cons? And I think you had this information on your website, and like how to make it safe. Can they still play and it could still be safe? And there were some measures that you had put on there, like, okay, make sure the chat feature is off. Those kinds of tricks and tips, that helps, you know, where at least we feel like, okay, that's one thing that we can do. What are some other things that you think we could do to build that digital trust?
Well, to speak specifically into screen time for just a minute, if I could try to maybe read the minds of some of the friends that are watching this right now, I think that a lot of us have this idea in our heads as parents that if my kid is watching a screen, that's bad. And that if they're not, that's good. Yeah. And so we sometimes buy into that sort of parent guilt of anytime my kid is using a screen, it's sometimes easy to believe that I'm a bad parent. And I just want to say that's not true. There is a painful adaptation that we are all going through right now, that technology is being inserted into many of the spaces where our kids and where we as adults are, be it education, be it in Disney Plus and streaming shows. Technology is a part of their lives. And so first, I just want to remove any guilt anybody might feel that when your kids are on screens, that's not always a bad thing. But what I want us to also do is to be involved enough to know what impacts those screens are having on our children. And it's sometimes a lot of stress when we try to go, okay, today is a 30-minute day, and you get 30 minutes every single day, and on Saturday, an hour, and on Sunday, we do none. And for some families, that works. But Shanila, I'll be really honest, that for me was too stressful. It was too stressful for me to always be managing to the clock, because then as soon as they hit 31 minutes, I started to believe the lie that I was a bad parent or something. And instead, I want to encourage, if this works for different families like it has for mine, I want us to look more at the whole child and look at all the different elements of what is a healthy child. If my son Blake is getting his homework done, he's responsive to my requests to empty the dishwasher and the moment that I ask him to, he makes his bed in the morning, he's chatting with us at dinner time, is an overall pleasant kid to be around, then if he wants to play Super Smash Brothers on the Switch for 2 more hours on Saturday, go for it. Like, that's because I'm looking at more than just the screen time itself as a measure of his overall health and well-being as a 10-year-old little dude. You know what I mean? And so I guess I want to maybe alleviate some of that parental guilt that we
Mhm.
sometimes feel about those sorts of decisions. I don't think screen time is always just a binary amount of time. Is it I'm a good parent or bad parent? I want us to maybe extend an invitation that we
Mhm.
look more holistically at our kids and embrace the fact that we are in the process of a painful adaptation to technology, and that if we know our kids well enough, let's know whether or not that game impacts them, because it doesn't
Mhm.
impact all kids.
Yeah.
Let's be involved enough to know whether or not, based on what we're starting to learn about things like Instagram from information that's coming out, is our son or daughter the 1/3 that is negatively impacted by body image or whatever it might be? Because that's
Mhm.
not all kids, but are we
Mhm.
involved enough to know if he or she is? I think that's the more important question.
So we really have to know our kids.
We do.
You know, I think that's really important. And sometimes we get so caught up. And like you said about that 30-minute a day, that was really me.
Yeah.
And though it wasn't stressing me out, it was stressing one of my kids out, and it was stressing my husband out. And we're like, okay, this isn't working for us. So one thing that we did, and as I'm navigating through this, this wasn't modeled to us. We didn't have this issue growing up,
Right.
So if my mom said get off the TV, she just came and turned it off, and that's it. And now it's just so much more complicated. And like, for example, I have a 13-year-old and I have a 6-year-old. And the 13-year-old will be like, well, my brother who's 13, he's actually toggling through his homework and Discord. And he's kind of like like keeping track of what's going on.
Yeah.
So he'll come and report back to us, and then we're like, okay. And then he's like, well, Mom, that's not fair. He got 20 minutes extra and I didn't. And so that time thing, that can really backfire, and it just makes us like go crazy. So one of the things that I told my husband, I'm like, you know what, we're just going to have to just sit down with the kids and say what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
just everybody can give their input.
Yeah.
And my kids are 13, 10, 8, and 6. So they're able to kind of articulate and say, well, I believe this, but what they believe is fair. And getting their input and their buy-in, that has kind of helped us a lot.
That's huge. You're referring to the concept of agency, right? Ownership
Mm-hmm.
and agency. And I've bought into some of that too, Shanila, the power of saying so Cole is my 11-year-old and Blake is my 10-year-old, and saying, when I'm looking out and I see Cole playing something on the tablet and Blake kind of looking over his shoulder, when I say to them, hey guys, how are you doing on screen time? You feel like you're okay? Has it been too much, too little? Where are you at? Tell me where you're at. And it's been really powerful to let them think about the answer to that question. Sometimes it's, yeah, I probably played enough, so I'll be done in 10 minutes. Great. That was
Mm-hmm.
his decision and not mine. It's
Yeah.
always better if that's his
Yeah.
decision
Mm-hmm.
and not mine. And creating some of that sort of internal self-awareness is powerful. Now, kids have to be a certain age in order to be able to do that. I understand that. And I don't want anybody to mishear what you and I are saying as like a free-for-all with technology. That's not it
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Because there are things that I know you and I agree upon in terms of preventing just egregious things, right? So to have a good router that is blocking pornography and other
Mm-hmm.
edges of technology that isn't good for 4, 14, or 40-year-olds, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those sort of guardrails in place that prevent sometimes curiosity and other things that maybe get the best of our kids, because these are really intelligent places that our
Yes.
kids are spending time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, foundational. And you know that from,
Mm-hmm.
following our work and from talking
Mm-hmm.
that, and we've talked a lot about Griffin, right, as the router.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
fact, they're based there in Southern California,
Yeah.
which is freaking,
And we have that too.
yeah. And,
That's so
and we do
helpful.
too. And it is just it's to prevent, it's really a protection for all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
To
Mm-hmm.
guard against our human nature at times, and
Yeah.
to just make sure that we don't, at whatever age, make a life-altering choice. So
Yeah, definitely. The router, that has been helpful, and being able to use it on my phone and put in where the homework time is or where the home screen time is, that's helpful. And what else do you think? I think one of the things that you had mentioned in one of your talks was that play with them. So if they're playing, take interest and play with them, watch with them, see what they're watching, because sometimes I realize that, hey, you know what, you thought this was a good show, but there's content in there that is not aligned with my values, you
Right.
know, or they may be doing a Google search and something else comes up.
Yeah.
So then what do you do? And sometimes, depending on the age, that's a good time to talk about that topic.
Right.
Um, and other times it's really evaluating, like, okay, you know what, I don't think he should be on Google, or I think that someone needs to be here, but if I wasn't next to them, then I wouldn't know. And one thing that happened, and I know that you had mentioned that, like, play with them, and for the longest time I was like, oh my gosh, that's my time to do my thing. When he's playing, that's when I can do my thing. And recently, just during COVID, is when my son, my oldest, he got into Minecraft, and then all the kids got into it. So we were just like, okay, what do we do? And I actually sat and played with him, and I'm sitting there just inside rolling my eyes and thinking, oh my God, I could be doing so many other things. I don't want to be here, but I know I should. And it's just like, you know, my heart is just like sinking, and I'm like, okay. And as I'm watching him, I'm like, wow, you know, and it was just, I was just, and then later on, he was like, you know, I want to listen to an audiobook. And I said, okay, let's listen to it together. So on our way to and from, we would be listening to this audiobook, and I'm so into it with him. And I
Yeah.
realized that this really connected us. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm big on connection, but
Yeah. You
there
are.
would be like 10 other ways that I'd rather connect with him than this. But it really, really helped us connect. And what it helped us do, what I realized is that he's more cooperative when I'm there with him, and I'm like, wow, oh, let me show me this. Oh, you made something in the creative realm. You made this humongous castle and house, and he's showing us, and he sees that we're interested.
Yeah.
And then later, when we're like, okay, can we do this? Okay, how many more minutes? And so much more cooperation,
That's
and
awesome.
no meltdown or a lot of that negativity that we had before. Like, really, really helped with that.
I love that. That is such a perfect example of being intentional and building that digital trust. And you're at a really prime age. And for anybody else, you know, who has children in that kind of age 5 to 13 range, which is where you're at, and which is where 75% of my McKenna humans are at right now,
Mhm.
that's a hugely important time to be embracing shoulder to shoulder digital opportunities, because the digital issues are only going to get more intense, more life threatening and dangerous later on. And what I really hope for is for them to have cemented in their brain when they get to the riskier stuff that technology is something that mom does with me, that technology is something that I feel safe with dad. And it's that phrase you've maybe heard us say, that whenever possible, I want my kids to understand that technology is a we activity and not a me activity. Because
Mhm.
one-on-one with the internet, you can justify almost anything. And that's a
Yeah.
dangerous spot. And I can speak very personally to that as an adult man who struggled with pornography, that
Mhm.
one-on-one with the internet is usually not a really healthy place to be in.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
for my kids to embrace that idea of trust, of I'm safe, you're safe,
Mhm.
that regardless, like saying to them, I don't care what it is, there's like no trouble here. Like, I want you to come to me. I'm safe and we can
Mhm.
get through this no matter what. And so
Mhm.
you planting that shoulder to shoulder time, even just little conversations, car
Yeah.
time, meal time,
Mhm.
bedtime, whenever you can, so they trust you with tech, huge.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Can you hear me? I think Chris will come back on. Hang on one second, guys. I think there's just a little lag. Um, but what Chris was talking about is so important, and it seems like we don't have time for that. I think a lot of times we think that, you know what, we just don't have time to just add that extra thing in where we're supposed to sit with our kids. But just taking a little bit of interest makes a huge impact on our kids. And that's one of the things that I really love about Chris's work. He's coming back on, sorry about that, is how much information he can give us and making us feel like we don't have to do this alone. So I was just telling them, Chris, that the work that you do, it's so helpful because it's not overwhelming us. It gives us information and ways that we can connect with our kids and making it possible to actually parent in the digital realm. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about quickly is the resources that you have on your website. I found them really helpful. So one of the things that I loved is this quiz. It's the quiz that says, is your home internet safe? And it has 10 questions, and it has links to that as well. And that was just really helpful. Not all of these questions are things that I was even considering or asking myself, but just knowing that these are important kind of puts it into the playing field. And one of the things that my husband and I decided to do was every week when we meet, and we'll talk about like meal plan, what we're doing this week, just our plans for the week. We'll open up the app, and this is something new that Chris, I would just want you to talk about. He has an app that has all this information, basically the latest and greatest information on what's going on in the digital world and different things. So last night we opened up Discord and learning about the ins and outs of using Discord. I have Discord. I don't know how to use it, but my son knows how to use it. In one of his classes, the teacher said, please get on our Discord discussion board. That's where you're going to ask each other questions. So if tutors and teachers are using, I don't know if teachers in schools, but this tutor was using it, and I was just like, okay, we really need to get on there. And so we took like 10 or 15 minutes to just go through what Discord is. So this week I'm learning about Discord, and my husband is learning about some of the information you had on YouTube.
Awesome.
And the controls on there, because so many kids are just watching things on YouTube. So then he's going to teach me, and I'm going to teach him. Excellent. And it's just like 10, 15 minutes where we can just get on track and learn.
That's great. Yeah. And what a great thing to be able to say to your son. You're the expert here on Discord. What's something you wish I knew about this app? Could you say something? Right? They love being, now I'm kind of a Star Wars nerd, so this, if this makes sense, they love it when they're the Jedi Master and we're the Padawan, right? We're the ones that are like, show me, I don't get this. And that's a great way to build trust, to have them speak that expertise down, towards us, which is
so some of the things that I saw on Discord, I asked him, I'm like, is this true? Chris is saying this, is this true? And then he was like, oh yeah, because of this or that. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And that makes them mindful of it too. Right. They're like, oh yeah, it could be inappropriate.
Well, and it gives them the sense that you don't need to be an expert in it, Mom, but them knowing that is often enough of a deterrent, right? It's put it out in the light. I just think that automatically the things that we put out in the light in front of us just automatically have less control over us. And because it's just sort of out there, and you kind of go, okay, the sort of curiosity power, that secrecy, secrecy fires up that dopamine sort of anticipation reward system. But if we've taken that secrecy away from it, then it's automatically less enticing in our children, in my experience. And so I think that that's another benefit of just talking about the stuff and going, hey, here's what I know. Is this true? They're like, yeah, it is. Wow, Mom knows this? Like, that's really, really important.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about your app?
Sure. I appreciate you mentioning it. So both in Google Play and the Apple App Store, you can go and search for Protect Young Eyes, and you'll find the Protect app. So when COVID locked us all down, so I'm in Michigan, you being in California, we were locked down pretty tight, like you guys were too. Yeah. And so we decided to build something that could still get to parents, because Parents needed us more than ever, even though we couldn't physically be with them in presentations, which are coming back a little bit now. But the app is a way to have right in your pocket, bite-sized little chunks, 5 minutes at a time. Whenever you've got time, you've got a few minutes to sit outside, you want to read a couple panels about Discord. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. It's right there. And then there's videos you can watch with your kiddos, right? For grades kind of kindergarten through 8th grade, just to sit down shoulder to shoulder and say, hey, I want 3rd grade, you know, whatever son of mine, daughter of mine, or do you mind watching this video with me? And it's a together moment. It's on your phone. It's doing some subtle things in addition to teaching that are really important to us. And so there's some free content, but then there's also paid content, but it's just $3.99 a month basically for everything that we know. And we're on the verge of some additional things we're going to do to it that I'm really excited about. So would love for people to check it out.
Yeah, I definitely recommend the paid because it's a bargain, and I've been enjoying it so much. And what we're gonna do is that every week or every other week we have a family meeting, and in it, my husband and I are like, you know what? Let's watch one of the videos at every meeting. It's just short, and then we can have a discussion on it and anything that comes up, and it's just a way for them to know that we are all on the same page and we're all trying to protect each other. And one of the things that I tell families, and I told my kids too, that, you know, in this day and age, you're not going to go down the street and some random guy is going to be like, hey, kid, you want a candy? Come in my car. There aren't, and, you know, predators or anybody, kidnappers, they're not there. I think we lost Chris again. But usually when we go down the street, there's no one's going to come up to our kid, you know, mostly. But there's a lot of people online who are doing that. Wait for Chris to come back. So there's actually a lot of people online. They're online predators in different chat rooms, and they know how to come. Let me see if he can come back. But yeah, so a lot of things that Chris has on his Instagram, which I recommend everybody follows if you haven't followed him. I would really, really highly recommend. He has so much information. And if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, by all this information and things that you see online, just the thing that helped me was that just start with one thing.
That's right.
You know, so like for me, I was like, you know, I just want to learn about Discord, just one thing. And just knowing about it and just focusing on that, and that's it. That week, it helped me because then I felt empowered. I was like, if I can learn this, I can learn something else.
That's
right. And just the bite size, that really helps. And instead of overwhelming us, it actually makes us feel like we got this.
That's so good to hear. Thank you. And I apologize. We just had, speaking of the weather thing, we just had a storm roll in and it's wreaking havoc. So again,
no
give me the green and the sunshine. But no, that's really helpful. We built it with that in mind. I'm a really distractible guy. And so I need little bits, little chunks so that I'm not chasing squirrels. You know, I can't read a big, long, who has time for a big, long blog post? Very few of us. And so we wanted to meet people in their busy lives right where they're at. So
And I think lastly, I want to kind of end with letting people know that it's just like you said, it's relational, and the relationship really matters. And this could be a way to bring us closer instead of dividing us, instead of making a wedge between us. Like this tech area is a wedge between my kid and me because we're always complaining about screen time. And instead we can make it where we're all on the same page. It's like all of us against all the craziness, all the predators, the porn, the inappropriate stuff. It's all of us against that.
But we're rooting for our kids. We are with them. We want them to use tech well, and that's what's so important. So I love that perspective. And that sounds so simple, but I think that little mind shift change, which then plays itself out in our facial expressions, in our reactions, in our conversations. Kids notice that stuff. I'm convinced of it. So
yes, they do. I think our nonverbal And a lot of times it's so easy to blame the tech, right? It's
Right.
because you were online. It's because you're playing that. And sometimes it may be true, but when we tell them that, then it's almost as if it's them, that we're blaming them. And finding ways to kind of connect with them and really know our kids, that really helps. And I think one person was asking what the name of the app is.
Yep, I just dropped it in.
Yeah.
You can search
Okay.
Protect Young Eyes, the Protect app, and it should pop up. So
Thank you, Chris. It was really great having you on. And
yeah,
there's so many different topics that we could talk about. But one thing that I forgot to mention that I really loved on your website was on the resources, you had a list of all the different kind of digital things out there. So whether it's a Switch, a laptop, a Chrome, and almost like a step-by-step guide on how to use the parental controls on there. And that was really helpful. So no matter what you guys use, you can go in there and it's very well laid out and it's not overwhelming because I'm not a huge tech person. I mean, I could get by, but I could go and follow that. So
awesome.
that was really helpful.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I really appreciate your approach to these topics, Shanila. I've followed you now for a while on Instagram. This is how we met, right? This is a good use of Instagram, right? Was to connect with each other here, and you're just open, straightforward approach. I have so appreciated. And, for anybody listening, wherever you might be, it's also important that as many of you as possible, regardless of background or even trying to remove language barriers. So in the right corner of our website, there is a drop down for a language selection. And there's not a lot, like 10 or 15 different languages that the whole website can instantly be translated into. So that, whether it's Arabic or Spanish or French or German, that it can just be, if that's easier, then that's also there. And
that's
just
great.
want people to be aware of that. So
yeah, that's great. That's great. And I'm looking forward to all the new things that you're going to be dropping and helping us just navigate this whole digital world with our kids. So because the future is technology and they're going to be using it. So we can embrace it and we can help them be resilient in the digital world.
Absolutely. This has been awesome. I appreciate the invite. Thank you so much. And for everybody who's been with us or watch it later, enjoyed being with you, and let me know, either of us know. I know we're very responsive, both of us, when it comes to DMs and questions, and be happy to help. So
thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Bye, Shanila.
Bye. I don't know how to delete him. Okay, he got off. So I want to ask you guys what you guys thought. Please follow Chris. He is a wealth of information. So many posts that he has. It just reading one of them, it can sometimes overwhelm you. I know some people have said that. A lot of times, when not just what he posts, just in general, when we read anything digital related, and we're just like, oh my gosh, this is just so overwhelming. So again, the thing that I love about his posts is they're bite size, and on his website or his app, I'm really loving the app right now because I can just go on there, click on whatever topic that I want to talk about or learn about, and in 5-10 minutes, I kind of feel like I've got something done. It isn't overwhelming. It's really, really empowering me to help my kids navigate the digital world, because like I said, we didn't get this when, we weren't modeled this. Our parents didn't have to deal with this. This is like the first time that we have to deal with something new. And another thing that I want to talk about is that this is a really broad topic. Just one video, just one person that we follow isn't enough. We have to keep learning. We have to just take in the information, feel all the feelings, whether we're feeling overwhelmed with it, and just kind of observe ourselves. Like in the beginning, I would say, like, if you guys feel like you're really overwhelmed with kids and tech and you're fighting with your kids, to just observe, take a deep breath, observe, and see what's really going on. Instead of saying that, okay, I can't have my kids on for more than an hour, what can our kids do? What are other options for our kids? and how can we make their time online enjoyable for both of us? And asking powerful questions like that, that really makes a huge difference in, for example, how can I make tech work for our whole family? And you'll notice that if you just think about it and just let it marinate, and you'll come up with so many great ideas on how to do that. And of course, asking others. There's just so many. We didn't even get into like the harms of some of the things that we should be cautious about. So inshallah, next time we'll talk more about that. I'm really big on screen time, safety, and how to navigate this with our kids. So I'd love to hear your questions. If you guys have any questions, please drop them, and I'm going to save this. Inshallah, we'll talk to you soon. And again, please follow Chris, and hope to see you guys soon. Assalamu alaikum.